Hi, everyone. Gerry Dulac along with Ray Fittipaldo from Steelers Training Camp in Latrobe. Our Steelers Training Camp report brought to you by Savinas, Kane, and Gallucci, mesothelioma and asbestos attorneys with over 85 years of experience standing up for victims of mesothelioma and asbestos. They try to get to the truth, and what they get is millions for their patients who have been afflicted by the disease. Go to sdklaw.com. Ray, a little, considering one day after the first padded practice and no pads today, a little feisty out there in the practice field.
It was. You don't expect a lot of fights when the pads aren't on, but Jalen Ramsey got into it again with Calvin Austin. That seems to be a continuing feud for them.
Carryover from yesterday.
Absolutely. Jonnu Smith today against Juan Thornhill. Talked to Jonnu Smith afterward. He said there's no history there, but they were getting after each other today. And then, of course, DK Metcalf against Chuck Clark. Chuck Clark ripped his helmet off after they tussled. I think Chuck Clark gives him about 6 inches, so I don't know who would win in a street fight. But
well, it's the same with Calvin Austin and Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah,
that's a mismatch there as well.
But hey, I think Chuck won that one on the field.
Ray, I part of it is, look, I know, they're only one full week in the training camp, but I think it's what we're seeing with this secondary, the competitive nature. Okay, I know you have some physical guys back there, some aggressive players like Jalen Ramsey, but I also think it's just, with the changes that they made, with the offensive players they brought in, Jonnu Smith, DK Metcalf, Kenneth Gainwell, they made those changes in the secondary, and I think it's just very competitive between the secondary and the receivers, and that's what we're seeing because they're both filled with new players.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think after the way the offense was dominated yesterday, I think, they wanted to respond. I think DK said when he talked to us after practice that Arthur challenged them in the meeting room yesterday, and, they wanted to come out and show some fight today. But to your point, there are a lot of new faces on both offense and defense, and especially on offense, Gerry. I think you could still see. I thought Aaron Rodgers was better today, but he's still trying to get on the same page with a lot of his receivers. A lot of balls on the ground still as they try to get their chemistry down.
Yeah, and of course the one guy he targets the most, if it isn't every 2 passes, it's every third pass for sure, goes to DK Metcalf. That's understood. That's why they brought him in. That's why they gave him a huge deal. That's his roommate here, and he's trying to develop a connection, as he should, because that's going to be the Steelers' #1 receiver. We do see some drops from DK Metcalf as well, but you can see those two are trying to develop a chemistry, and that can only bode well for him going to the regular season. But he needs to develop that with other players. You see him rely on Pat Freiermuth. He hasn't looked at Roman Wilson a lot. I think he did in 7 shots, but Mason Rudolph, I believe, or was it Will Howard, finally connected on a deep pass to Roman Wilson. We finally saw Roman Wilson make a play that caused the crowd to erupt.
Yeah, it was good to see. 3rd-round pick last year, Gerry, but he got hurt on the 3rd day of training camp, spent most of the season on IR, and, to be honest, in the first week of practice, certainly the first week without pads, didn't really notice him much. But he went up against Joey Porter today in one-on-one pass routes, and he made a heck of a play. So if they can continue to see that out of him, Calvin Austin continues to get better. We'll see that receiver rotation sort out a little bit.
Yeah, no pads today. They moved the practice to the morning because of the threat of weather in the afternoon. Tomorrow they'll practice at night at Latrobe Stadium, and typically they put the pads on there for some of the drills. You probably see backs on backers again. You probably see the linemen one-on-one, but that's always a big attraction. They get up to 10,000 fans there. Parking's at a premium, I will tell you that, but that's always an exciting night for the fans and for the players. They like it. They turn the lights on, they have a little fun.
Yeah, and then, for the players, it's almost like going back to their high school days. They will board school buses up here at the locker room. They'll make the short trek over to Latrobe Memorial Stadium, and like you said, 10,000 fans will greet them. And, for those guys who played at big high schools, it's going to be like reliving their glory days.
Yeah, and you got these guys coming in who've probably never done that before. Not only do they not go away for a training camp, but I'll give you a small example. I was talking to one of the officials at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers the other day, and they're here they come here for practice in a preseason game. They were having a night practice as well, but it's not really a night practice. They were just practicing at night. It was in their indoor facility, and so there's no fans. So, it was at night, but it's not the same as what they got here. So that has to be really cool for the new guys coming in and experiencing that.
Mike Tomlin loves it. He thinks it adds juice to his practice. He was talking yesterday. Pat McAfee was here. There were 4,500 fans on campus yesterday, Gerry. That's probably one of the bigger crowds you'll see on campus. But anything that can juice up the crowd and juice up the players for an otherwise mundane training camp practice, he loves it.
Ray, I was talking to one of the top security people here, and they said yesterday was the most chaotic they've seen it here at training camp in a long time, right down to where people were parking. They were parked all over the place, especially up in the parking lots, because there was nowhere to go. So they were just parking haphazardly. It took them hours to clear that parking lot. They actually made 3 arrests yesterday. You had a few unruly fans. I doubt alcohol was involved, but nonetheless. But yeah, you saw them parked everywhere here, and that's how you know it was a huge crowd. And a lot of that was because of Pat McAfee, let's face it.
Yeah, and the rains forced a lot of that. People had to park in different spaces. There were parked cars around here, Gerry, on the grass, where you never see parked cars. But McAfee is a quote-unquote yinzer, and I think he brings out the yinzer in a lot of Steelers.
Yeah, he's a plum native, right? And played at West Virginia. Ray, Isaac Sayamalo, they took him off the non-football injury list. He was back on the field, didn't do any team stuff, but he was out there for the first time. Why it's important to have him back, not just because he's their starting left guard, and obviously he's their best offensive lineman, but this is a young offensive line.
Yeah.
And so there aren't many veterans, if you will, on this line, and he is the one. And that's why it's important to have him back on this line, because you just go right to left. It's second year, it's second year, it's second year, and then it's Broderick Jones' third year.
And you see it with Broderick Jones, too. Mike Tomlin is taking it easy with these soft tissue injuries. Both those guys were out there today for walkthrough. I would be surprised if they practice tomorrow night for Friday Night Lights. But listen, maybe by Sunday, if not by Sunday, maybe by Tuesday, we'll actually get to see the offensive line in total in pads for the first time.
Yeah, because we have seen Broderick Jones out here the last couple of days. He's doing individual stuff, but not in teams. And it gives them a chance to evaluate their younger players, give them some reps, give them some snaps with the first team. But tomorrow night at Latrobe Stadium, it's always a lot of fun for those who like to go down. But as you know, it gets to be a big crowd. It's tough to park, so you might want to get there early. Steelers are back at Saint Vincent College Saturday, regular 2 p.m. time. Same on Sunday, off Monday, and then back at camp, training camp here on Tuesday. That's going to wrap up our coverage here today. For Ray Fittipaldo, I'm Gerry Dulac. You're watching Post-Gazette.com.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.